Diane at Healing Bodies, Healing Souls, and we're going to be talking about some really interesting energy today. It really is about how we project our energy onto others when they are like the mirror that will reflect back to us what we want. So with that said, I'm in front of Simon and I adore this man. Simon, tell the world about you.
Thank you, Diane. I adore you too. So I'm Simon from Everything in Spirit. I have a coaching business and help people improve the quality of their lives. And I love our conversations. So over to you. Let's get
Okay.
started.
So there's a lot of times where I'm going to really like somebody or not like somebody. And they're resonating within me, something that is within me. So if there's a group of people that I don't like, that's energy inside of me that is not comfortable when it is awakened or when it starts to show up. Now the ego wants me to always be right. And a lot of times people will reflect back that he's doing it wrong, she's doing it wrong. Look what they're doing over there. But then again, I'm sitting here in so much judgment that I want to learn again and more how I can set and get rid of that ugly energy that is coming up so that I can transmute it and not be that person that is overly judging so I can be overly right all the time. So what do you think?
I think it's an interesting concept in terms of like when you say you don't like people, in what sort of circumstance specifically? Do you mean like people that you're having to maybe spend time with or deal with? In what sort of circumstances?
If I'm out and there's a lot of people that are loud, I don't like loud people. Okay. And my family was quite loud and I just had so much nervousness around that. And I can't ask the world to change because I don't like loud. I got to heal what is a part of my nervous system that gets disrupted in this normal world.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's really, I guess, a lot about living from the inside to outside rather than letting what's going on outside sort of affect us too much.
Hmm.
And that includes, affect how we feel. I remember somebody said once, and I really appreciated them telling me because I catch myself occasionally. And that is that the more we understand ourselves, the more we understand other people.
Yeah.
That's something that I've kind of learned, but keep learning. And you know what it's like with sort of study that we can always go to deeper and deeper levels. But I can't remember what the person said, but I remember being in a social situation once and somebody said something that wasn't socially great to be saying. It wasn't rude. It was just like a bit of a sort of awkward thing for somebody to say. And I can't remember what it was, but I remember the moment they said it, I thought like, I know what they mean and I know how they feel. And I know how they feel because I felt like that myself in the
Hmm.
past. And as soon as I kind of connected with understanding what was beneath what they said, right, it was instantly, it didn't annoy me because I thought, like, I understand where you're coming from. Like the way that you said it may not be great, but I can connect to that feeling. So I think that's a great thing to do is to really study ourselves. What do you think?
Great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that springs to mind, I'll be interested, to see what you think about this, is unity. I avoid the news on a big, big time. I avoid it. I think anybody that sort of wants to feel better, reduce the amount of news that you watch. But occasionally, obviously, it's important to know what's going on in this world. And I was looking at it not long ago and I thought, what's going on with sort of America, Iran, in the Middle East and things. And I thought, that is a really good example of what happens when we move away from unity. I mean, unity on the sort of human scale, humanity. That's moving away from unity and everyone's, there's chaos going on. So when we view life from unity, that we're all human beings and all, the same, uniquely different, but effectively the same, then I think we should be a little bit more forgiving to other people and, of course, ourselves.
Yeah. It really is to kind of relax down and give that person some grace, some understanding, and not feel possibly even attacked.
Yeah, again, I really think it goes back to this being inside and living life from the inside out as
Mhm.
opposed to allowing what's going on outside to affect us too much. And by the way, you said about those loud people have the same issue, right? So, what do we do when we come across those things? One, I guess, is we can avoid those situations
Yeah,
because we have lots of opportunities to do other things. When we do come across those things, I guess, is to, just go that they're expressing themselves in the way that they feel best for them and to just accept that, that we're different.
yeah, yeah. And to allow the separation of them versus us, how they are and how we are, and that nobody's right. Give them a
Yeah.
little bit of room, give them a little bit of grace, and let them be who they are, minus the judgment of who they are.
Yeah, I think that's a big one, like you said, to give them grace, but also to sort of go, no one's right or wrong. And we don't
Yep.
have to be right or wrong. And it's just perspective, isn't it? It's the way that we look at things.
Yeah.
I like the idea of I was speaking to somebody the other day and saying that, if you've got a block of cheese, it was something Bob Proctor said once, I think it was anyhow, that if you cut the right hand side and you keep on cutting the right side, you're going to end up cutting the left, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is really perspective. And I guess like when we kind of talk about self-development and spiritual sort of things, one of the sort of ways of sort of judging, if you like, in a non-critical way, but looking at, well, how well am I doing? I would
Mhm.
think that's going to be partly where you allow other people to express their uniqueness without it affecting you too much.
Yeah. I have quite a few people that I work with that are uncomfortable at work. They don't like their coworkers. And it's just like they're lazy, they're not doing it well, they're messing up. And what they're doing is they're projecting their own insecurities also. And so what I try to get them to understand is that we don't need to be hyper focused on them for, as what you said, to go inside, clock in, get your work done, be kind, be nice, but more focus on what you're doing, not necessarily what everybody else is doing. Because we don't have control in the outside world as much as we have control in the inside world. And if I'm sitting there judging all of the people around me, look what I look at the energy that I am creating within me, and that is not pretty.
Yeah, I was going to say, I agree with you that thing of, and I think we're all guilty of it at times,
Yeah.
in the workplace where you're kind of, as you said, you're looking at kind of seeing what other people are doing. Where obviously, when we step back from that and have a look, the sensible thing to do is to focus on what we're doing, right?
Right.
So your answer was, I was going to say very much the same thing. So we got some alignment there for sure.
It's just fascinating. I don't necessarily know if it's the ego per se, or we want to live, we want to survive. And if our nervous system is too high and we're a little bit of survival mode, then we are looking for danger. So I think it could be a little bit of ego, but I think it's the nervous system that is just looking for what's going wrong. And if you're looking for what's going wrong, you're never going to be disappointed because we could be in a five-star restaurant and find things that are wrong.
Absolutely. The seeker will always find. So if we change our attitude to always look for the good and
Mhm.
try and find good in things, then that's going to make quite a difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
So instead of looking at the sort of people as that, noisy crowd of people over there, we could be, for example, that's, maybe not how I would express myself, but they're obviously having a good, happy time and, they're excited, right?
Yeah.
Interesting though, when you get to the sort of ego side and then sort of nervous system, and I feel going back to that sort of the spiritual side of it. If we looked at say Diane from the highest version of Diane,
Mhm.
would she allow, and it's true of everybody, the highest version, would it be disturbed or put out of line by what other people are doing? I think less and less so.
I would be radiating more self acceptance and balance and love. And if I am all of that, then that is what I would be sending out to people. So I
So,
would love the ones that are loud right now. I would be able to celebrate with them and not see the separation between me and them.
yeah, interesting. It's slightly different, but one of the things I sort of encourage my clients to do on a daily basis, just as part of the sort of daily ritual after gratitude, is forgiveness, right?
Uh huh.
And forgiveness is to forgive all people and things. It doesn't matter whether they're big or small, just to forgive them. And that means to let go completely. And also important to forgive ourselves, of
Yeah.
course. Kind of think it's possibly a little bit similar to what we're talking about now in terms of just accepting people as they are. So even people that perhaps do things that we consider maybe bad things, for example, is to realize that they're doing as well as they know how to. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
I think that's what most people do. You know, when people do bad things, it's probably as good as they know. So we just need to focus on ourselves and being more our highest version more of the time. I believe that's good.
Yeah. And also that they're not my problem. I'm the one that continues to do this until I'm not the one that continues to do this. So again, as you said, we go inside. He, she, them, they're not my problem. I'm the common denominator. And if I'm having uncomfortable thoughts and ideas about people because they're not perfect like I am, then I got to sit down and realize that I need to have a little bit more grace and that maybe I need to settle myself down because if I'm judging them so harshly, I've got to be judging this person so harshly. And that is not a healthy life.
No, absolutely. That's a very interesting point. You know, feeling bad or, you know, kind of out of alignment even, you know, can never be good for us. We're meant to live in a sort of happy, aligned life. Obviously, when I say aligned, there are going to be some days of, you know, going to be happier than other days, for example. I think if we're feeling unhappy because of the behavior of other people, that's not a healthy health choice or
Yeah.
health
Yeah.
situation. The, you know, healthiness, stress, for example, we all know about how bad stress is, you know, physically as well as mentally. So we want to sort of avoid those situations. But I've got a question for you, and that is, we get some people, you know, we might, if you like, trigger us because of the things that they say. Other people, it might be way that they behave. They might be loud, okay? Or they might do things that we don't approve of. What do you think about on a energy level? So what I mean by this is, I know we said it, I think in a previous podcast, I said that if you were sat on a train, for example, and somebody sat next to you and you were looking out the window, you could potentially feel without seeing this person, right? They haven't said anything at this point, and you could feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Because their energy is good, it's in a tune with yours. Obviously, there's a law of polarity. So if somebody can come and you can feel comfortable, it means that the opposite has to be available and somebody else could sit down. Same thing. You haven't seen them. They haven't said anything, but you feel uncomfortable. So that's kind of like positive and negative energy. What do you think about, what are your thoughts on that?
When I feel uncomfortable around somebody, have opened up a pocket of energy in me that is unsafe, and they just opened it up. But it is my responsibility to dive in. It's kind of like, oh, thank you for opening up this pocket of energy that was somewhat dormant. I don't need you anymore. That this is actually my own work. Because growing up, my dad was amazing, but he was tough, and we couldn't misbehave. That look, I'd probably pee my pants right now if he did that to me. So I get so if a man that had too much of that in him that triggered these little pockets of energy that are still maybe even hurting, then it's going to bring up a memory that I'm able to actually get rid of now. So I can say thank you to him and actually go inside and continue to keep cleaning up what is my responsibility to clean up that I walk around with that I'm not even aware of. So these not healthy moments, not comfortable moments are actually quite rewarding. What do you think?
I was about to say rewarding, right?
Yeah.
So, and I was thinking of it in terms of, I haven't thought about it this way. So thank you for, opening my mind on this particular perspective. But I was thinking, like, just in life that, when things are going smoothly, if you like, it's a very enjoyable experience, but we're
Oh,
not
yeah.
learning a great deal.
Right.
So, like, let's take it from a business point of view. If you have a sort of business challenge, that's where the real growth comes from. So if we changed our perspective to when we experience those trigger moments, rather than going, no, and sort of thinking, "Oh, I need to feel safe," go, this is an opportunity to learn and to grow. And it is.
It really is.
So I think that just changing that perspective is going to make a massive difference on that. Next time we feel that uncomfortable feeling, we can just go, well, this is a chance now to grow, to go up another level so that
Yeah.
when this occurs in the future, it's not going to affect me. I
Yeah.
think that's good.
Yeah, especially with coworkers and so many other people. A client of mine, long story short, was in the Bay Area. They wanted to move to Idaho. And oh, people are going to be nice there. It's going to be so much nicer, so much better, on and on and on. And I'm like, not really. She had the same problems in both zip codes, even though everything was completely different. So maybe the best thing is to understand that I am the common denominator, and how I'm projecting my energy out is reflecting back who they are. And if I really want to befriend more people, then I'm going to open up that part of them. But if I'm mistrusting, then again, I'm going to see mistrust in them, and I started the game.
I love the story you said about the zip code. I've known some, can we say, pretty difficult, challenging personalities that have traveled around the world, and in every single country they came across the same, difficult to deal with people. So that's a really good example of they projected this on themselves. And I think that change, it can never happen without awareness. So I think the first thing to do, as you sort of brought to our attention, is to be aware that you are responsible for it.
Yeah.
We had a conversation a while ago and it's slightly different, but as an example was like, when we get people have a conversation with somebody and they go like, they just don't understand what I mean. And they're starting to get a little bit angry about that. And they're sort of blaming the other person. What they should do is take responsibility and go, well, it's my communication. Obviously, I'm not communicating this clearly enough.
Mhm.
And then try and explain to us in a better, more understandable way. And I feel that responsibility, taking responsibility, is going to be massive in terms of these trigger moments. We also mentioned a while ago about why we react before we think.
Yeah.
I've got thoughts on that, but I'll be interested to hear yours first.
70% of what we do is unconscious. And there's so many people that are worried and down and low in energy that they're going to project that onto others. And so it really is the world is mimicking us. And so I pulled these out today, but if we start to wear some rose-colored glasses, I'm going to see life so much better.
But you're going to see a rosy life, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't necessarily need glasses, but if I could actually look at life more beautiful, more rewarding, more interesting, then I'm sending that out. And then what I send out comes back to me. So again, it really is about the energy that I run is the energy that I awaken in my outside world.
Yeah, absolutely. The energy that we send out is coming back straight away. As soon as we send it out, it's coming back immediately. In terms of that reacting before we think, I believe that sort of comes under the umbrella of paradigms, habits. Effectively, we're so programmed that often, particularly with people we know well, which might be like family or say work colleagues, that they will say a certain thing that happens to annoy you, right? And we reply and react to it without thinking. So like you say, we're unconscious. It comes from the subconscious that we react the same way every time, and we're doing it before we're even conscious of it. So in those sort of moments, I think it's when we have to be aware first when the
Yeah.
person says that thing that sort of sets us off, is to catch it before, take a pause, and then we have the opportunity to respond, right?
Yeah.
Rather than react. And just hold that moment and then you can change it. Otherwise, it's just a habitual response.
Knee jerk
But
reaction.
yeah, response reaction, huge difference. We want to just pause for a moment and then respond rather than the automatic reaction.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, in terms of sending out the good energy, though, obviously that's definitely a priority, and we should be doing that all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I say to my clients that look for the good in things, right? And if they just start looking for the good in things, and they keep on doing it, that same paradigm, that same habitual thing, will start to take over in time, and they will just automatically be wearing those rose glasses you've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're always
They're
looking.
they're going to be changing even the chemistry of their body. They're rewiring their mind, the brain. They're upgrading themselves. They're actually taking responsibility of their own existence. Is it difficult? Okay. But as you said a while ago, when it's difficult and we win and we get over it and we practice again and again and again, it actually becomes so natural. And I want to be naturally positive. I think I was wired to be naturally negative. So yes, I've done the work, but after a while, it just feels like I would never want to go back.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. Certainly for myself, one point in my life, I was negative and I was fighting the universe, if you like, and everything. It took time, right? It
Mm-hmm.
it took a lot of study. It took a lot of learning. But now I'm happy most of the time, right? And
Yeah.
things seem to go pretty smoothly. Okay.
Yeah.
But the world didn't change, I changed.
Yep.
And obviously, I say that I'm like happy nearly all the time. I pretty much am. Obviously, not every single moment of every day, because if that happened, we'd kind of forget what it was like. And we'd
Mm-hmm.
forget. We wouldn't be happy unless we knew that there was a different option available to us. But yeah, when we start working with sort of universal laws and start working, with good energy and positive energy, things do change. I know, well, we both know that from experience. Yeah. The good energy we send out will always come back.
Exactly. Each and every day, I want to become better and better, stronger and stronger, and more open
Well, you're committed to growth. We both know that. We're studying every day
every
and
day.
we're always learn,
Yeah.
always learn. That's what you've got to do.
Yeah.
But interestingly, once we do that, life becomes, rather than being this sort of, struggle or battle, it becomes this great, sort of wonderful long holiday, really. You know?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful experience we've got on this blue ball, and we're here to, I think, grow, help people, and enjoy.
Pretty much so. Yeah. And love is always the answer.
Absolutely, and that goes back to unity, which we were saying at the beginning. Human unity, it should be love for all things and all people.
Yeah.
One thing you also mentioned recently was whether it was our energy or their energy. So it's a sort of finishing point. And that what I meant by that was that if we meet somebody and we're not connecting, it's kind of feels like positive meeting negative. Whose energy is it?
Yeah.
So I feel that we're responsible for our own energy. When we come across negative people, if you like, or people that are making us feel like that, we can just not accept their energy, wish them well, right? I do think it's important who you spend time with, though. Like there are negative people about, and I find that difficult these days to spend a lot of time with them. But I will, I never judge them. I wish them well. Perhaps don't choose to spend too much time with them. But I think we just have to focus on our own energy. And like we've said a few times, if we just keep sending out good energy, it has to come back. What are your sort of final thoughts on that?
Well, I don't want to match their negative person's energy, but if I'm around that person and I'm not conscious and paying attention, then I will start to do that. So you're right about not being around certain people if they are not in alignment with the energy that you want to be, even with family. So I want to be more responsible for my energy, my fuel, and the people that I share my time with. And I can very, very easily say no to people as easy as I can say yes to people. Because when it's all said and done, I am responsible for this person. And sometimes she can be a hot mess. But I've got to be conscious enough to make sure that if it's comfortable for her to stay, that she can stay. And if it's not, that I've got to get her out of those moments. And that's just living a conscious life and being self-protected.
No, I agree. And actually, there's a Instagram account that is called Protect Your Energy. And I thought that's a good name. That's what you
Yeah.
need. Protect it and just keep the good energy flowing. Let it
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah. And everything is constant, everything is moving. And basically, I hope everybody that is watching this or listening to it may even watch it or listen to it a couple times. Maybe take some good notes so that when a awkward moment shows up, it's like, oh yeah, Diane said this, Simon said this. So that we're not just going through automatics, because then there's no lessons. I want people to upgrade themselves, open up their consciousness, and make their own decisions in that moment and not be pulled or distracted from other people's energy.
Yeah, it's you know obviously very well. Repetition is what kind of creates this conditioning. So if we've got the sort of negatives to change them to positives, it's repetition. It's writing it down. It's listening to it again and again. It does take time because it has to override the sort of previous conditioning. Not It's not actually really difficult, but it takes time. And it takes consistency and it takes some commitment. But once it's changed, it's done.
Good feeling.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah. So perfect. So thank you. I actually love index cards. I write down things on index cards throughout the day. I have them in my purse in every room that I have. So when I have a good thought, instead of it just coming and going, I like to write it down and really kind of meditate on it and bring it deeper into my subconscious mind so that it can shift and change what's inside of me. And that's how I grow.
Yeah, no, actually writing it is really good. That's why like people say affirmations and that's not it's a good thing to do. But writing them down, which takes just a little bit more effort, much more effective. Yeah. You can do both obviously. But when we write something down, we never accidentally write something.
Yeah.
So it means that we have to focus. And when we're focusing and writing down, say, our affirmation, then that focus and we get emotionally involved as well. That brings it down into the subconscious. That's where it all comes from. That's where the results come from. So, so writing it down is a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So perfect. I appreciate you. I adore you. Thank you.
I appreciate you too. You're a wonderful, wonderful soul. Thank
Just glad that we are coming together to pique people's interest on day-to-day stuff. This isn't rocket science. It's just like, hey, let's just kind of expand and think about how life is really kind of showing up and how we can kind of shift it and change it and look at it through different perceptions, through different eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not rocket science, but we have to become aware first, right?
Yeah.
So it could be like, you know, at one point getting dressed was a real challenge. But once you become aware of how to do it, you can do it without thinking. So it's the same thing. It's awareness is the key.
Yeah.
Awareness. But it's been an absolute pleasure as always. I
Thanks.
send you good energy all the time.
I will see you in the next podcast.
Look forward to it. Thank you.